Okay, so who do you all think is better in this position? Is it white or is it black? We can see that white has a majority here, a pawn majority on the queen side, and black has a majority of the pawns on the king side, as you can see here. He has 4 pawns, we have 3 pawns. On this side of the board we have 3 pawns, he has 2 pawns. Now it's important to see that our majority is better here, because it's going to be easier for us to create a passed pawn. That's the whole point of having a majority. We can play a4 and b5 here, and easily create a passed pawn here on the c file, or something of that sort. Now it's going to be way harder for black to create a passed pawn, of course, because he's gonna need a lot of moves to do that, f5, e5, e4, g5, f4. It's gonna take him a long time to do that. And also, the queenside majority is often more useful because the kings are on the king side, and if we go into some sort of an endgame, it's going to be way harder for his king to come and stop this passed pawn than it's going to be for our king to stop a pawn which is on this side of the board. So this is a big plus for white in this position. Now, the second thing that it's good for white is that this pawn here is on the light square. Now, why is that good? Well, it's good because we have light squared bishops, of course, and it's gonna be easy for us to attack this pawn on c6. It's also isolated, so it's not protected by any other pawn, so it's gonna be weak. And it's also kind of making this bishop bad. This bishop can't be on b7, for example, on this long diagonal, because this pawn is here, and it's making it really bad. And if we look at our pawns, all our pawns here are on the dark squares, so his bishop can't really attack our pawns. So because of these reasons, I think white is better in this position, of course. Now you might say that, okay, black has this nice square here on d5 for his knight, he will jump there and everything will be fine, but I don't think so. And we will see why. Black, of course, played knight to d5, I played queen to e5, he played f6, and I played queen to e1. As he just created another weakness, I just wanted to be here on this file attacking the pawn. After knight to d4, we're gonna be attacking this pawn for the second time, and the position is looking pretty great. So here he played bishop to b5, I played knight to d4, and after king to f7, of course, because we were attacking this pawn. Now you can pause the video and try to think of a plan for white on how to win this game. There's an option here in this position of us taking this bishop here on b5. And this would make this pawn, go away, and it's not going to be protecting this pawn on d5 anymore. So the knight is going to only have one defender now, and since our knight has left the d4 square, our rook is also going to be attacking the knight as well as our bishop. So we could just take the knight, and after he takes it back, we exchange the queens, and we take the pawn back with our rook. And we have a protected passed pawn here on the c file. I hope I haven't lost you here, but I'm just going to show this now. I took on b5, he took back, I took the knight, I of course exchanged the queens because otherwise our queen would fall here. I exchanged the queens and took on d5. Now this was the position that I was talking about, of course. We're a pawn up as white, and this pawn is a really good pawn because it's a passed pawn and it's a protected passed pawn also, so this position should be just absolutely winning, I thought, so that's why I went into this. Of course, black can never exchange rooks or something because the king endgame is absolutely lost, so that's why here he just played a5. Now his idea, of course, was that if I take, which I'm absolutely not going to, I mean, why would I do that? He can now just start attacking my pawns or something, and I can't move my rook anymore because this pawn would be just hanging here, so there's no need, absolutely no need to take this pawn on a5. So I just played rook to d6, and after he took the pawn, I took it back, and we can see why I played rook to d6 now. We have a simple threat of rook to b6, and he can no longer protect this pawn on b5, which would be just over for him. So he has to play rook to b8 to try to protect that, and I played rook to a6. After h6, I checked him, and of course the point is that he can't go forward because we can just take the pawn here. So he has to go back to protect this pawn, and this is the crucial position here, guys. The crucial position of this rook endgame. We have to realize something here with white. We have to see that black's options are really limited. He can't move his king freely. He can go here, you know, he can go here because we can just take the pawn on g7. He can't play something like g5 because we're gonna play rook to h7 and we're gonna take this pawn on h6. He also can't, move his rook anywhere because, well, like we saw, rook to b7, this pawn is going to hang on b5. So what can black actually do? He can just wait. I mean, he can play king to g8, king to f8 or something like that. So that's why the important thing to notice here is that we can just simply bring our king to the center like we should in the endgame. There's no hurry whatsoever. We can play king to g2, king to f3, go here, support our passed pawn, and just win the game, because there's nothing for black to do. So of course, king to g2. I mean, like we said, if the rook moves, we're just gonna take this pawn. If he's just moving there, we're gonna, come closer, and now we're just gonna play c6, and we're gonna win this game with a passed pawn. So this is just over. Now, if you were thinking here in this position about a move c6, I mean, which could be logical, but it's actually not a good move, let us see why this is a bad move. Like I said, there was no hurry whatsoever for us to just bring the king there and then play c6, so that's already one reason why we shouldn't really do that. And he can just play rook to c8 here, attacking our pawn, and after we play c7, well, he can play king to e8, and he's really quick, as we can see. If we just play something like king to g2, he can play this, and he's gonna take our pawn, and it's probably gonna be a draw. So we can see why this was a big mistake to play c6. Now, by keeping our pawn here on c5, we're actually denying him of any counterplay whatsoever. As we saw, once we start pushing this pawn, he can get some counterplay with his king, trying to take this pawn. If we just leave it here, he has nothing to do, so it's just the simplest way to win this position. I think it was pretty instructive to show you when to actually enter the endgame. If you saw that, okay, if I get into this position with a protected passed pawn, I should absolutely go for it, because we know we should be able to just win this position. And of course, a very important point here in the game was here, not trying to hurry with pushing this pawn up the board, and just moving the king to the center, which is the most crucial thing in the endgame to do. So guys, if you like this video, please like it, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.